The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Welcome back, UAB Director's Chair. He's the athletic director for the UAB Blazers. I'm Mark Ingram, a good friend of the show here. And of course, I'm Tony Curry. We do a show every single week right here. You can find it on Tony Curry Radio, the TKR app. Over 100,000 people have already downloaded that bad boy. Show runs about 5 times a week. So you can find it there. It runs at the same time every day. I think it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. We got 18, 19 different shows. And of course, you can check it out wherever you get your favorite podcast. We're available on every major industry out there. Mark, how you doing, man? What's going on? Happy springtime. You and I just chitter-chatted just for briefly a few seconds here before we started the show, and it's kind of there's a dead period. It's kind of there's not a whole lot going on, is there?
Yeah, a little bit. Graduation happened. We had just over 100 graduates last weekend, call it 10 days ago, and probably the most we've ever had. Spring is when we have the most, but I don't think we've ever had quite this many. Additionally, we just got the numbers back. We had the highest GPA that we've ever had, which was a collective 3.36 GPA among
Nice.
all of our student athlete, which is a tremendous. Our previous high was 3.29.
Wow.
So to move that far is it's a testament to our academic staff, but also and of course the student athletes themselves, but also to our coaches for recruiting people that take school very seriously, and then the coaches themselves impressing upon those students to say, hey, school matters, you need to do well. And so I was really pleased with that. We also had over 4,000 community service hours combined for the year. So our student athletes excel in the classroom and in the community, and they continue to improve on the field too. So we've had a really good year. I know we didn't have the football season that we didn't want to have, that any of us want to have, but other than that, we've had a great year, and I'm really pleased with the progress that we're making here inside the American Conference.
You mentioned the fact that if you're going to take some time off, May's usually the month to do that. Have you talked to Coach Dilfer at all?
Sure.
What's your relationship with him like during the times of the year when obviously there's no practice? You just had your big shindig down there in the South Side to celebrate your football team, and of course the spring activities. But what kind of relationship do you talk to him every day? Do you talk to him every week?
Almost every day.
Really?
Yeah, just about every day. And same with Coach Kennedy. We talk a lot. And talk might be text. We aren't in person every day. That's not possible, but we are texting or talking just about every day. Pardon me. And we had a great fundraising event Monday for the football program. It was a golf outing out at Bentbrook. One of our great donors, Jimmy Lee, donated the use of that golf course to our program, which is tremendous. And he's with Buffalo Rock, longtime friend of UAB and of athletics. And we exceeded all of our fundraising goals for that event,
Right.
which is exciting. So we'll do one for men's basketball in the fall, and baseball's got something creative planned. They're actually going to host a pickleball tournament here in Bartow Arena in July. And I know Coach Dunn will be getting that promoted very soon. But between camps and these things, all these things come together to generate revenues for the program, which now in the new revenue sharing model will redirect some of that. What used to maybe go to operating, maybe we'll redirect some of that to the student athletes themselves. So, but yeah, coming back to your question, yeah, we're talking all the time about recruits and who's coming in and where are they from and is there anything I can do to help? It's funny, I'm not going to say anything to a recruit probably that moves them to choose UAB, but sometimes the fact that they meet with the athletic director helps them feel more wanted. And so it's not really about anything other than me physically being there and saying, hey, you matter to us, and coach said you matter to us, and I wanted you to know we like you here,
Yeah.
Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
The Regents tradition is going on this week, and I did my show out there for 15, 20 years when it was out there at Greystone, and of course out the Ross Bridge and everything else, and the pro-am's always really fun because Charles Barkley there and Vince Gill there, and of course Nick Saban plays in every year.
Yeah.
His name's come up a lot this past week. And it's a really good opportunity because it is kind of a dead time for a lot of college football thing, and so you have all these coaches coming out, Kirby Smart's there. You have all these coaches, and they're relaxed, and when they're
Right.
relaxed, sometimes they'll talk a lot more than they do during football season. So
Yeah.
you can get some good, you can get some good smack. Um, the thought did come up, and I know his question was asked about Nick Saban being perhaps the commissioner. He said, "I'm not sure if we really need a commission
Yeah.
in college football." Do you think you would make a good commissioner? Is that the direction you think we need to go in the NCAA? Where do you think the next thing is? And are you just kind of holding your breath?
I think the issue, and we've probably talked about this, I know I've talked about it. I just don't know if I've talked about it here on the show, and I bet I have. The issue that we have here is that we used to make decisions. When I say we used to, I'm talking about 40 plus years ago. Decisions were made about like what is best for college sports, what is best for college football. Now, what people are doing is saying, what's best for my conference?
Mhm.
And so these commissioners at certain times, right now, the Southeastern Conference is really strong athletically. The Big Ten is really strong athletically, and they're kind of driving the bus to do what's best for them without worrying about who's in the wake. And so that's not good for college sports. I mean, the idea that we're going to expand the college football playoff as an example and give them all these automatic qualifiers. Like, wait, I thought this was about competition. I thought we were supposed to go out on the field and compete. And if your kids are better than our kids and your coaches could outcoach our coaches, you win. But if not, aren't we in this thing to compete? And so that's not good for college sports. And a lot of the way the revenue has moved, almost solely directed at these, what we're now calling the Power Four conferences, the autonomy conferences, when we say, well, they're just so different. We've engineered that difference
Mhm.
by sending them all the revenue. They have the money to be different. That's why they look so different. And we've been doing that for the last 10 years. That's the concern. Your question about the commissioner. I'm sure Nick Saban would make a great one because he knows the game. He appreciates the challenges, and at this point doesn't have any personal vested stake. I mean, I guess you'd say, well, he does in Alabama, but he was also, look, don't forget he won a national title at LSU. He probably didn't hate it there. He's from Ohio. He was at Kent. He was at Michigan State. I mean, he's probably got a lot of places that he has some affection and affinity for. So I mean, he's as good as any and better than most. But what I think the value in having a person is somebody's got to go, hey, look, this is what we're doing for college football. Forget which conference inside all of this benefits greater. This is what's best for the game, and then we usually do what's best for college football, and then everything else kind of cascades in a similar fashion. So I think it's been talked about before, and I think it's worth talking about again.
Yeah. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Pardon me, I was looking down. I was listening to you, but I was going through some emails because we do get a lot of great emails from UAB fans. And Michael in Southside had an interesting question about just this. He has noticed over the last few years, it appears that more and more teams or institutions are going D1. And we've
Yeah,
always discussed about why would you want to go D1? We've seen schools go from D1 to D2. It's super expensive. You have to change things
yeah,
over. But he mentioned Stonehill College, UC San Diego, Dixie State, Utah Tech, Turlington State. Again, I don't know if these schools are going D1 in college football or if it's basketball or both. He just threw out a couple of University of Southern Indiana. Um, are you going to stop seeing that now with the way the things have changed over, or is it, or are you going to get to the point where you're like, okay, and how is we haven't even talked about the smaller divisions of college football. How are they dealing with all this? Because they're not even mentioned at all in any of this.
yeah. A lot of them, they're not opting in to the revenue sharing, and good for them. I mean, at some point, you got to draw a line on what you're capable of spending. And look, all these schools that have made the decision to transition to Division One, good for them. They, obviously they evaluated it and felt like that was the right thing to do. I just think that what happens is when you elevate your conference, even just like us going out of Conference USA and into the American, what happens is you start getting compared to all those schools in everything. Well, how does
Hmm.
our budget compare? How we pay our coaches, how does that compare? How does our recruiting budget compare? Your fans and people inside the university, they all want to know. And there's this expectation of this immediate, like, oh yeah, we're number one. That's not how this works, man. We're growing into it and we're doing it as fast as we can, but it's a lot of money. It's not just if you're going to Division One, it's not just, hey, we've got to increase the number of scholarships. Well, how does your travel compare? And then again, all the compensation for every single person in the department, not just your coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches, but all your administrative staff. All of a sudden, they're going to say, hey, man, I've been here for X number of years, and I'm the lowest paid marketing person in the league,
Yeah.
whatever the new league is. And in the old league, maybe they were the second or third highest because it was Division Two or something. But now they're in a Division One and higher, and there's this expectation. So I just think that between that and the revenue sharing, it's more than just changing the logo on your shirt and having to switch out some stuff on the field and on the court. It's a lot different than that. And you get excited about the association with bigger brands, larger communities, and that's all good. It's all good, and it's why we did it. But you've got to understand, there's just the expense side is much greater than the revenue side, quite frankly.
Yeah, info at TonyCurryRadio.net. We always get your email questions, and we love to read those. There was also a question here from Sally in Southside. She was asking about Bartow Arena. I know we've talked about Bartow numerous times about making
Yeah.
some changes to that, and I know that's something that's in your wheelhouse. Where are we at on that?
Yeah, we're taking phase two of the Bartow Arena project to the June board meeting. So that'll be on the agenda here coming up. We're excited about that. We're making really good fundraising progress, working on the design. So I think that's going to be a tremendous benefit to the university and to the athletic community. What is interesting, what I learned is just, in trying to put together some statistical information to talk to donors about, is that there's about 200,000 people a year who come through Bartow Arena. 75,000 for athletics, 125,000 for non-athletic events.
Wow.
And so that tells you, when 200,000 people come through that building, you're making an impression, right? What kind of an impression are you making? That's what you got to ask. You're making the impression. So you want to make sure that it looks, our campus is so beautiful and modern. There's so many brand new buildings. I was in the new engineering building the other day. It is a stunner, man. And
Yeah.
so what you don't want is for people to visit the arena for a game or something else and think, oh, is this the way the rest of the place looks? Because it's not.
Yeah.
This is not how the rest of the university looks. And so the last thing you'd want is to give off a negative impression that the rest of the school is not, as current and modern as it could be or as it is, because it's really Dr. Watts and everybody have done such a nice job with all these brand new buildings, dormitories, classrooms, and so forth. We want to make sure that we're holding up our end of that.
That new parking deck's pretty sweet too. I'm just here to tell
Yeah,
you.
1,200 parking deck, 1,200 car parking deck right across the street. Yeah.
It really is. It's really, really nice. So kudos to you guys for doing that as well. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Please send your email questions. We'd love to get to them. And of course, Mark is a huge concert guy. You're a big rock and roll guy.
I
So
am.
I wanted to ask you, and I really don't have a question here, but I'm going to the AC/DC concert on Tuesday night in Nashville.
That's so fun.
Yeah, and I didn't know if it was going to happen, just because of COVID and everything else. And their last album came out like 4 years ago, so we weren't sure whether they were going to even back it up with a tour. Angus just turned 70, but I'm taking my son with me, and he'll turn 21 in October, and part of me is like, I'm going to stick it in his face because he's into the hip hop, he's into the rap, the Lil Wayne kind of stuff, and
Yep.
I want his ears to bleed. I want him to hear it the next day. Because I need it because I'm 59 and I'm the old man, and I'm watching the History Channel now, and all of a sudden I'm old and uncool. So I want to take him for a good time. First of all, I want to ask you, when was the last time you saw like just a super loud in your face concert?
Hmm.
And have you ever gone to a concert with your kids? Because this is the first time I've ever gone to a concert with my children. It's kind of strange. Yeah, it almost feels like when my dad invited me to go to Vegas with him. Like I was in my mid-20s, and he's like, "You'll never go," and I'm like, "Why wouldn't I go?" And so there was a handing off of the torch there a little bit.
Yeah,
We started becoming friends as opposed to a father-son relationship. It was
right.
became friends. We were always father-son first, but we became really good friends. But when was the last time you saw just a rock ass concert? And then have you ever gone with your kids?
Yeah, so well, this wasn't a rock concert, but I saw KC and the Sunshine Band back at the end of January, but it was
Okay,
crazy loud.
okay,
And yeah, I went to bed that night with my ears ringing, and I thought, boy, it's been a while since that happened. Anytime you're inside, I feel like that you're more vulnerable to that than if you see something that's an outside show. Yeah, I've been to some concerts with my kids, but they're all so like I took my daughter to Taylor Swift like 8 years ago, and I took one of my girls, or no, my wife took. I did not go, thank heaven, to One Direction
mm,
like 10 or 12 years ago or something. My wife said the squealing was worse than the speaker noise.
yeah,
Um, but I've been to some small stuff like here in town at Avondale Brewing and stuff. Some small shows. My kids really like music too, which is great. We don't all have the exact same preferences, but it is fun. It's funny that you say that. It's like what you said about going to Vegas with your dad. Yeah, it is this kind of odd feeling like, okay, here we are. We're
yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
we're
and
leaving, and
you know,
like
and
whatever.
he's gonna see me in a way that he's never seen me before,
Right,
because
right.
I mean, I get after it now. I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously things have changed a little bit. But he's gonna see me rock, and I mean, I'm
Yeah,
gonna, and quite frankly, the ticket prices are stupid, outrageous. They're
outrageous, man. It's
700
making it hard to go.
$750 a piece. I mean, I'm gonna get every bit
Yeah.
of it. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm not gonna sit there and sit in my seat the entire
You can get
time.
there
So,
early. Choose the
but
gates open, you're getting there.
oh, there's no doubt, and I'm going to
Yeah,
stay to the last notes played too. So yeah, there's not going to be no leaving early. So anyway, we'll let you know how that goes, and I'll tell you about it. I'll give you my review, if you will,
yeah, please
next
do.
week when we get on. All right.
I
Go
look
to
forward to that.
go to UABsports.com, UABsports.com for everything that is UAB. Mark, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, we've got one more home series this weekend. Florida Atlantic comes to town to play baseball against Casey Dunn and the Mighty Blazers. So please come out and support those kids. Thank
Sweet.
you.
Thank you, sir.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.